I gave birth in jail at 16. You were destined for failure.
At age 16, I did something really stupid.
Is that
I dated a guy who had been arrested several times before. One
several times? And you stood beside him? That's some loyal shit. I ain't gonna lie, that's some loyal shit. I respect it, but like,
night we met at a car park. I had no idea why, but then he smashed the
I mean, okay. Yeah, this nigga's a crash out.
window of a car. Of course, the alarm went off, but
Why
my
is he
boyfriend
screaming?
quickly turned it off again. We both searched the car for valuables, but found nothing. Then, suddenly, a police car stopped right in front of us. My boyfriend jumped out and ran away, but I was so scared, I just froze. The police arrested me, and the next day I got trialed and sentenced to 1 year in prison. You can't imagine how mad I was at my boyfriend.
Prison. You're 16 though. Wouldn't it be like juvenile detention, or I don't know, something with juvenile? It wouldn't be
In my
prison.
opinion, it was all his fault. And to make things worse,
But you
it
went
got
along
me
with it.
pregnant. I didn't want to have a baby. But once you're inside the prison system, you have no choice. They force you to keep the baby. After 3 months, my beloved boyfriend paid me a visit and said, "Thanks, you didn't rat on me. If they had caught me, I would have gotten a long time. But once you're out of here, I'll take care of you." Wow, the guy that couldn't get a job wanted to take care of me. How romantic. I told him to F off and that I never wanted to see him again. He responded, "Fine, then good luck raising our kid on your own. You get what you deserve." Okay, I had enough. I filed a report to the police and told them how my boyfriend had helped me break into the car.
You should have did
From
that
there,
from the
it
jump.
was easy to convict him, because the police had DNA traces from the crime scene that matched him. It also wasn't his first felony, so now he's serving a 3-year prison sentence. And all because of me.
But he's
But I was still miserable,
16.
because being pregnant in prison at age 16 is no fun. The older women didn't respect me, and often forced me to give them my food. It meant that my baby and I often had to go hungry. That was my life until I felt myself cramping. I screamed, "My baby is coming! My baby is coming!" I expected the guards to bring me to a hospital, but instead they brought me to another cell and handcuffed both my arms to the bed. I
I
couldn't
don't think
believe
they do
it.
that.
I mean, where was I supposed to run? When a doctor finally arrived, I was already screaming out of pain. He told the guards to free me from my handcuffs, but they refused and said, "We aren't allowed to do that." I had so many
I don't
thoughts
think they
racing
do
through my
that.
head. What if something went wrong? What if I couldn't push out the baby because I'm tied to my bed? Well, giving birth to my baby took 5 hours, but everything went well. You probably didn't know that prisoners are allowed to raise their babies inside their cell.
I don't think that's true. I mean, I know you can give birth in the pen, but I don't think you can keep the child in the pen. Then again, this isn't the penitentiary. This isn't the pen. This isn't the pen. She's not in the pen. She's 16. She's 16. What?
But for many women, that's their only choice. And I can tell you, it was horrible. The other inmates often looked at my daughter as if they were planning to hurt her. So, to keep her safe, I gave her to my mom until I
Yeah,
came
that's
out.
how it goes.
Looking back, I can tell you that going to prison was a life-changing experience for me. I realized I had to become a responsible adult, or my life would only become worse. That's why I graduated high school and got a job as a dental assistant. It doesn't make me rich, but I'm happy to help people and to have a secure job. Most importantly, I've learned to not date dishonest people like my ex-boyfriend. Those people will only ruin
What
your
about your daughter? No update on the daughter. Okay, no updates on the daughter. Okay. I guess. How I make lots of money as a college student.
I'm Susan, and I'm studying to become a high school English teacher.
Okay.
But going to college in the United States is incredibly expensive.
Is?
I'm already $40,000 in debt. On a teacher salary, it's gonna take forever to pay it off.
Yeah.
But luckily, I found a really weird job. I'm supposed to meet up with guys and just talk to them. Sometimes it's like a date, but mostly it's all about having an interesting conversation or going to the opera together. And no, I'm not going home with the guy afterward. It's just a date. Even though some guys want me...
What is my nigga Johnny Bravo doing in here? First off, my nigga Johnny Bravo get bitches. Don't play with him. Don't play with my dog. But you telling me this woman goes on multiple dates with different men? See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Men are down way badder than women. They will literally pay somebody to go on a date with them just because they are learning. If a woman want a nigga, she gonna get a nigga. No money. Just like straight looks. A personality type shit. But niggas is down bad, that's what I'm saying. But where did she get what I'm trying to apply to this shit.
Me to pretend that I'm their girlfriend and they expect me to laugh at their jokes, like I was completely in love with them.
That's some simp
Recently, I met this one guy who wanted to see me every single weekend.
That's beyond sucker shit.
And I decided to do a bit of cyberstalking. That's when I found out that he was married with 3 kids. Now I was seriously confused, and I wasn't sure if he was cheating with me on his wife. I mean,
Does it matter? You getting money. He ain't doing nothing with you. It ain't your business. You know what I'm saying? Like, what he got with his wife ain't your business. He's paying you to sit up and literally have a date with him. And he's paying you big bank. Shut up. Drink your wine and eat your cake, bro. Like, shut up.
we were only talking to each other and eating at fine restaurants.
Yeah.
But it kind of felt wrong. So the next time we saw each other, I asked him if his wife knew about us. He explained
What is us?
that he and his wife had fallen out of love a long time ago, and that they only stayed together for their kids. I wasn't sure if I believed him. But then, he asked me if I wanted to go on a trip with him to Paris. For some reason, that really creeped me out. Flying with a stranger to a different continent?
Yeah, that
No
would
way.
be strange.
That's why I decided to not go on any more dates with him.
What was the
Wait.
conversation?
That's
Friday night, sorry I can't, I'm busy. Saturday, it was nice to meet you, but I think we should start dating. Sorry. Y'all weren't even dating, bro. Like,
That's why I decided to not go on any more dates with him. Don't get me wrong, he was a nice guy, and he even worked as a doctor at a hospital, but he was also 35 years older than me, so no thank you.
okay.
I know I have a really weird job, but it's not as bad as it sounds, even though I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. Because it could definitely happen that you meet some weirdo that will stalk you afterward.
Yeah.
But so far, I was lucky and didn't have any bad experiences. It's just that I'm completely broke, and if I worked at Starbucks 8 hours a day, I would barely even make enough money to pay for rent. And how shall I find
How much do they pay you?
while working a full-time job? A couple of my college friends even have to live in their cars because they can't afford to pay rent. They say it's really uncomfortable at night, and they're always worried that someone will smash their window and steal their stuff.
Why did he have a
I
bra?
live like that. It's much easier for me to go on a fake date with some old guy, especially because the agency I work with always does a background check on the man I meet,
Agency?
which means that I don't have to be worried about meeting a criminal. The men I date sometimes pay me up to $200 just to talk to me for a few hours. I guess they really like me because I'm well-read and educated. I can talk about almost any topic.
They like
politics,
you because they don't get enough.
history. But of course, I haven't told my parents about my job. They are very conservative and super judgmental. If my dad found out I was going on dates with older men, he would probably disown me, or worse. He already thinks I'm a disappointment because I decided to become a high school teacher instead of a doctor. He says my kids will someday grow up in poverty and it's all my fault. But he isn't the perfect guy he thinks he is, because after he inherited $300,000 from his dad, he lost it all in a big investment scam. He wanted to become rich fast, and now he's as broke as before. And with those $300,000 he lost, I could have easily paid for my college tuition. But, instead, I have to work as a fake girlfriend and go on dates with 60-year-old men. I mean, please don't think that this is my dream job. I would much rather chill at home or go out with some of my friends.
Why don't
I can't
you?
do that because my dad has never learned how to manage his money. All he can do is criticize his daughter for not being ambitious enough. Ugh, just thinking about my dad makes me angry. Maybe I'll send him a photo of me with some old guy that I'm on a date with, and then write into the caption, "My new boyfriend." I know that it would drive him crazy, and he definitely deserves it. Because last year, he and my mom divorced after she caught him having an affair with their maid. I couldn't believe it at first,
Maid?
because my dad had always
How do y'all have a maid? Okay.
preached about the sacred bond of marriage. The older I get, the more I realize that my dad is a complete hypocrite. He always forced us to go to church each Sunday. But now I realize that he never actually practiced what he preached. I wish I could simply stop caring about what my dad thinks of me. But it's not that easy.
Yeah, that's your dad.
For some reason, I still think about him all the time, and I still want to make him proud. But anyway, let me know in the comments if you could ever work as a fake girlfriend and go on dates with 60-year-old men.
Shit, depends on the price. She depends on the price. This last one, how I became wealthy at 20. Now I'm almost 20, so tell me how to do it, gang. Tell me how to do it. Oh shit, that's muted.
Hey, I'm Michael.
What's up,
And even
Michael?
though I grew up poor, I went to a school full of rich and spoiled kids.
So how'd you get
The
in
worst
school?
part was being picked on by my classmate, Paul. He always asked me why I was walking to school instead of driving my own car.
Because I can walk a
Of
bitch.
course, he knew
What's
my
crack?
family didn't have enough money to buy me a car, but he simply enjoyed reminding me that his parents were richer than mine. Trust me, I hated Paul. But every time he made fun of me,
Understandable.
I swore myself that someday I would be richer than him. The only
I like that.
question was, how?
But then again, he's not rich.
I wasn't the
That's
smartest
his
person
parents'
in the
money.
world, and frankly, I wasn't hardworking either. Well, after months of me trying to find an easy way to become rich, I had an idea. What if I would marry a rich and old widow? I mean, I was handsome and pretty good at talking to other people. I thought that every grandma would see me as a great catch. But where could I
No.
meet an old and rich widow?
What makes you
I
think
was just some poor guy from New York. I decided to do some internet
you from New York?
research,
Oh,
and
yeah, nah,
bingo! I found dozens of articles about an old and widowed woman whose rich husbands had died a long time ago. I decided to go
was
for one specific
1 years
widow.
old.
Let's call her Elizabeth. She was 72, and her
Dear
husband had been one
God.
of the wealthiest fashion designers in the world. Well, until he died of a heart attack. The only question
Rest in peace
was,
to him.
how could I meet up with her? I decided to call her secretary, and I pretended to work for the New York Times. I asked if Elizabeth was interested in giving an interview about her deceased husband. The secretary said, Elizabeth doesn't do interviews, but she will attend a charity event inside the Hyatt Regency Hotel next week. You can try your luck and approach her there. Bingo.
Hotel.
But then I learned that a ticket to the event cost $500. To be able to afford it, I had to beg my mom for 2 hours straight. I told her, if you give me those $500, I will pay you $500,000 back
that
someday.
is something you cannot
When
promise.
she finally gave me the money, she said, I don't have much more, so don't waste it. I thanked her 1,000 times and went
Give
on
your
to
mom a
buy
hug.
the $500 ticket and rent a good suit for a day. When I arrived at the event, I was super nervous. I felt so out of place around those old and wealthy people. But then I saw Elizabeth. She didn't look very happy. She almost looked sad and bored. When she came back from the restroom, I took my chance and said hi to her. She was pleasantly surprised and said, Oh, sir, with whom do I have the pleasure of speaking with? I said, I'm Michael. My uncle invited me to this event, but I don't have anyone to talk to. She said, Oh, come sit at my table. Those people here are so boring anyway.
Okay.
Well, that's how it started. We talked for hours, and we were joking and laughing, and the sad old lady turned into a happy and energetic woman again.
Okay.
When the event reached its end, I said, If you ever want to meet again, I'll give you my phone number. She said, Of course. I'd love to spend time with someone as young and fun as you. Then, 3 days later, she invited me to her villa inside the Hamptons. Before I arrived, I checked the estimated value of her home on Zillow.com, and it said $40 million. Wow. But I told you, her
the fuck was
husband
that?
had been
Wow.
$1 million. Wow. But I told you,
So
her
stupid.
husband had been one of the richest and most successful fashion designers in the world. Wow. So when I arrived, her butler picked me up and escorted me to Elizabeth.
What's up, Alfred?
She was wearing a pink outfit and said, "Oh, there you are. I'm so happy you took the time to visit me." I gotta admit, talking to her was a lot of fun. But nothing else happened. At least not on our first date. But on our second date, we had a little bit too much champagne and we kissed. I know. How gross.
Yeah.
But the champagne made it easier for me, and of course, Elizabeth was on cloud nine. She was so happy to have a handsome and young guy like me as her lover. She also told me about her family.
Y'all kiss. Y'all ain't make no love.
I love this question.
Why he say love?
Okay, so first you're gonna find the stitch.
First off, beautiful queen. But get off my screen.
She said none of them visited her because all they did was party in Hollywood. She said they only waited for her to die and take her inheritance. I told her how sorry I felt for her.
That's the same thing.
She said, "It's okay. You are a gentleman. You know how to treat a lady like me." That's where our love story started. And for the next 2 years, we spent all our time together, traveling all over Europe, sleeping in the finest hotels, and always flying private jets. Everything was going well until her family found out she was dating me. A 20-year-old boy. They called Elizabeth and told her to
That's
break
my
up
stomach
with me
memory.
because according to them, I was only after her money. But Elizabeth was a smart woman. She perfectly knew that part of why I was her boyfriend was a luxurious life she was providing me. But her family didn't care that I made Elizabeth happy. They kept trying to destroy our relationship. Well, at least until Elizabeth broke off all contact with them. She was happy having me as her boyfriend,
Wow.
and that's all that mattered to her. And a week later, she came up to me and said, "Michael, let's get married." And of course, I said yes. I understand
How long have y'all been together? For her to be talking about marriage.
that people assume I only married her to get her money, but that's not true. I really liked her. But then, just 6 months into our marriage, she didn't wake up from her sleep. It was tragic, and the doctor suspected that she had accidentally taken the wrong pills the night before.
This,
But it didn't matter, because
This-
I was her husband at the time of her
this nigga poisoned her. That's foul. Man, that's
death.
foul.
So, I was legally entitled to her whole fortune.
Wow.
And trust me, it was a very big fortune.
Wow.
I thought about giving some part of the inheritance to her family, but all of them already had a few million on their bank account, and they had always treated Elizabeth like trash, so I decided to keep the money for myself. Of course, they tried to sue me, claiming I had killed Elizabeth. But none of their accusations had any truth to them,
Yeah.
and in the end, I let my lawyers handle it. But of course,
But you did.
I hadn't forgotten why I had wanted to become rich in the first place. After I had received Elizabeth's money on my bank account, the first thing I did was buy a Bugatti Veyron Supersport for $2 million in cash. And then I drove it to Paul's house. You remember the guy that made fun of me in
Yeah.
high school? I rang the bell at his parents' home to see if he was still living there. And indeed, he opened the door and looked very surprised to see me. He said, "Michael, what are you doing here?" And I said, "I just wanted to inform you that I have hundreds of times more money than your stupid parents. Just come.
Hey.
I want to show you my car." We walked to my car, and Paul looked almost shocked. He said, "There is no way that's your car. You must have rented it." But I knew he would ask that question. So I opened the trunk, where I had stored $5 million in cash. I said, "You think I rented these too?" Paul didn't respond. And then I went right
El
in front of
ego.
his face and said, "Now you know who's balling." And then I went into my car and just drove away.
But
Since
hey,
then,
he did do
I've
the
sent
same
Paul
shit
a
to you.
Christmas card of me next to one of my cars every single Christmas. Oh, and do you remember how I promised my mom to pay her $500,000 back for the $500 she
paid her a
gave
million.
me? Well, I gave her much, much more money
Good.
because she really deserved it.
Is that it? Is that it? Oh,
Shopify helps aspiring business.
I ain't gonna lie. I don't know. I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. I feel like he poisoned her. Cause how is she gonna randomly die? She just doesn't wake up. Like, nah, bro.